Jaya Brajajanarajana, Jaya Munatiravanachari, Jaya Kunjaviyari, Jaya Munatiravanachari, Jaya Kunjaviyari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Ram Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Yeah, I think today maybe I don't know the many people will be joined. Maybe you know that today there is a initiation program in the temple, so a lot of people are joining there.
Yeah, but whoever is there, we are going to conclude. We cannot postpone anything. We are going to conclude. Even if it is one person, we are concluding it. Okay? Even if it's one person, we are concluding it.
Prabhuji, then we are starting now.
So we can start if it's possible.
Yes. We want to start now. Let us start now.
You know that today there is a initiation program in the temple.
I know, Prabhu. I know, but we cannot wait for anybody. We are starting. Anything. We are going to conclude. Even if it is one person, we are concluding it. Okay? Hare Krishna. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada, Nitya Guru Haribol, 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 Guru Haribol. Yeah, thank you very much. You are welcome to today's session of the Bhakti Sastri. We have gone up to test 37 of the 6th chapter, which is the last chapter for this unit. And 10 more verses to go. We have to conclude because the time is already scheduled and different lecturers or teachers are coming up for their units. So there is no compromise, no complication. Our own is scheduled to stop today, to conclude today. So we are going to conclude. Then by next weekend, we're going to write exams. Then the other weekend, the second unit will start. So we don't compromise. So that is the situation. So now we're talking about how Arjuna submitted his confusion again. That some people have started this process of yoga, renouncing everything. They have gone far away, but somehow or the other they get distracted. Hare Krishna. They get distracted and they somehow that fall out. They are recaptured by the illusory energy. So Arjuna was asking, what happens to them? What happens to them? They've already left their base, and they have not arrived at the destination. And are they going to be like clouds, little cloud that breaks away from the main cloud and getting blown away by the winds? What happens to them? This was Arjuna's concern, and this concern is for every one of us. So as we have seen, many people start devotional service, and after renouncing and making a lot of sacrifice, they go halfway and they leave the movement. Some even towards the end of their life, they leave. What happens to them? Do they just perish like a raven clouds, like non-entities? So this is the question, the doubt that Arjuna is presenting for our sake. So that was 37, and 37 to 45 constitutes the last theme, Dhyana Yoga, destination of the unsuccessful yogi. So we're going to read 38 to start today. And we hope we go to the end uncompromisingly. Go Ranga. Srila Prabhupada ki joy. Verse 38. Kashindo Baya Vibrastas Shina Brahm Ivanasyati Apratisto Mahabaho Nirimudo Brahmanahapati. Translation. Almighty armed Krishna, does not such a man, being deviated from the path of transcendence, perish like a raven cloud with no position in any sphere? So somebody can read the purport for us, the Prabhupada's purport. Goranga.
Perfect. There are two ways of progress. Those who are materialists have no interest in transcendence. Therefore, they are more interested in material advancement by economic development, or in the promotion to the higher planets by appropriate work. When one takes to the path of transcendence, one has to cease all material activities and sacrifice all forms of so-called material happiness. If the aspiring transcendentalist fails, then he apparently loses both ways. In other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual success. He has no position. He is like a raven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes divides from a small cloud and join a big one. But if it cannot join the big one, then it is blown away by the wind and becomes a non-entity in the vast sky. The Brahman Pati is the path of transcendental realization through knowing oneself to the spiritual in essence, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, who is manifested as Brahman, Paramatma and Bhagwan. Lord Krishna is the fullest manifestation of the Supreme Absolute Truth, and therefore one who is surrendered to the Supreme Person is a successful transcendentalist. No reach this goal of the life through Brahman and Paramatma realization takes many births. Bahunam Janmanam Ante. Therefore, the supermost path of transcendental realization is Bhakti yoga or Krishna consciousness, the direct method. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So that is it. That what happens to such a person who is neither a materialist nor a spiritualist? No, as he has taken on spiritual practices, he has not been able to enjoy his senses. Thus, he has reaped the benefits of neither spiritual nor material life. Does such a person have any position, or like a small cloud that has broken away from big cloud, does he disintegrate? This is a continuation of Arjuna's question. What happens to an unsuccessful yogi? You see, what happens to an unsuccessful yogi? So this is a continuation of Arjuna's question. And it's going to further, establish his question. He's asking the question, he has not concluded. He will conclude the question in the next verse. In the next verse. Is it verse 39? 39. He will conclude the question in verse 39. Yes. Etanme samsayam Krishna chetum arahasi asesata twad anya samsaya yes chetana hi upapadhyate. This is my doubt, O Krishna, and I asked you to dispel it completely. But for yourself, no one is to be found who can destroy this doubt. So, purport again.
Hare Krishna. Krishna is the perfect knower of path, present and the future. In the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord said that all living entities exist individually in the past, they exist now in the present, and they continue to retain individual identity in the future, even after liberation from the material engagement. So he has already cleared up the question of the future of the individual living entity. Now, Arjun want to know of the future of the unsuccessful transcendentalist. No one is equal to or above Krishna, and certainly the so-called great saga and philosopher who are at the mercy of the material nature cannot equal him. Therefore, the Vedic of the Krishna is the final and complete answer to all debates, because he knows the past, present, and future perfectly, but no one knows him. Krishna and Krishna consciousness devotees alone can know what is what. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay. So Krishna is the only one who can dispel Arjuna's doubt, because he perfectly knows past, present, and future. Krishna knows everything. Everything in the past he knows. Everything in the present he knows. Everything in the future he knows. So he's the right person to dispel Arjuna's doubt. Krishna is the right person to dispel Arjuna's doubt. So, but the gurus are also, because they are fully devoted to Krishna, Krishna also reveals to them from the heart. In the future of Paramatma, he also reveals to them what is necessary at a particular time. Though the Guru knows also a lot about the past, present, and future too. But if one is not in the line of the paramparam coming from Krishna, he can hardly know the past, present, and future. Those on yogis can, by some mystic power, know something about future through astrology. They can know something about future, past, present. But to perfectly know past, present, and future, Krishna only. And therefore, Arjuna is asking the right question to the right person on behalf of all of us. So the answer given by Krishna is the perfect answer. So we should listen to it attentively and let us get it right there. Okay. So in the next verse, Krishna is going to answer Arjuna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, there I have the small questions that the last line, the Krishna and Krishna consciousness devotee alone can know what is and what. But how we can become as a Krishna consciousness? What is the good way to become as a Krishna consciousness?
Yeah, that is the process. The process is recommended. Tadvidi Pranipatena, Pariprasnena Sevaya, Upadeshanti Chekana, Kanina Statva Darsana. Just try to learn the truth by approaching the bona fide spiritual master, inquire for him submissively, and the self-realized soul can impart knowledge into you because he has known the truth. It represents Krishna, it represents the Paramparam, it represents the process. So when you are properly connected to the Paramparam through the spiritual master, through the pure devotee, then you can know. Because the pure devotees, they repeat what Krishna has said. Okay? So just by following the line of Paramparam, taking the instructions of the pure devotees, you are there. So that is the process. Okay?
Okay. But the Guru, if is the like example, we are initiated, so we know the Guru Parampara, but generally the questions like if it knows Guru, the person are not attached with the Guru Parampara, and how we know which is the right and which is the wrong to become as a Krishna consciousness. Because at moment we are attached with the Guru Parampara, so we know now at moment. Okay, this is the because we follow the spiritual scriptures and the Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam and gurus whatever they give the guidelines. But you know the general, if we go there to before I joined the ISKCON, we know the Krishna, but we not follow the right process and all. But how we can know to follow this one's the right?
Oh, this is what we are saying. Sometimes people think they know. People think they know generally, but they actually do not know. Because only Bhakta can know. No, intellectual efforts cannot reach Krishna because Krishna is a tutor, is a dokshaja. So unless one becomes a Bhakta, he cannot really know Krishna because to know Krishna means Krishna has to reveal himself to you. And to know him means he has to reveal himself to you. And he only reveals himself to his pure devotees. Then the pure devotees now will tell us about Krishna. He recommends us to Krishna and he takes our efforts, bless our efforts to be able to know Krishna. So we need the mercy of the devotees, the pure devotees. We need their mercy to be able to understand Krishna because we cannot understand Krishna with our own thinking, our own intelligence. Only through bhakti, only through devotional service, we can understand Krishna. Unless one surrenders, you cannot understand Krishna. That's why I can say, as you surrender unto me, so I reward you, I reveal myself to you. Only through bhakti I can be known. Only through bhakti yoga I can be known. And for that, he reveals himself when you become a bhakta. But if you want to understand him by intellectual, academic efforts, you cannot, because it's a dokshaja. So many people think they know Krishna, but they don't know. They are speculating about Krishna. So only pure devotees can reveal Krishna to somebody, explain about Krishna, and by the mercy of Krishna, when the Krishna sees that they are sincere, he also helps them from within. So it's a very serious process. Krishna is too much for anybody to know through his intelligence. He has to reveal himself. Okay? So only the pure devotees can know Krishna properly, as he is. Even the Bhagavad Gita, there are so many commentaries of the Bhagavad Gita, but the Prabhupada commentary is Bhagavad Gita as it is. Anybody can speculate about any book and put his speculation down in form of writing. But are they devotees? Only devotees can know who Krishna is. That's why Srila Prabhupada put it as it is. That means non-devotees commentaries of Bhagavad Gita are separated from the devotees commentary. Read only Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you read other commentaries, you are only reading the speculation of individuals. For that, you cannot understand Krishna. You get more and more confused. Because the Bhakti Shakti is flowing through the devotees. The Bhakti Shakti is flowing through the devotees. So who know Krishna as he is? So the pure devotee put Bhagavad Gita as it is. Then the devotees study the Bhagavad Gita under bona fide spiritual masters connected to the Paramparam. Then only they can know Krishna as he is. So this is the whole truth, Prabhu.
Okay.
Many know, but actually they don't know.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Verse 40. Krishna wants to start to answer Arjuna. Arjuna has put forward the doubt, and Krishna has to clarify that doubt before they can move ahead. This doubt is on behalf of all of us. So let us see what Krishna said. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Bhatanai Vihana Mutra Vinasastasya Vidyate Nahi Kalyana Kritka Shit Durgatin Tatagachati. The Blessed Lord said, Son of Preta, a transcendentalist engaged in auspicious activities does not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. Purport. Big purport is needed. Big purport, but we have to read it.
Yes. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Purport. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 1.5.17, Sri Narad Muni instructs Vyasdev as follows. If someone gives up all material prospect and takes complete shelter of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no loss or degradation in any way. On the other hand, a non-devotee may fully engage in his occupational duties and yet not gain anything. For material prospect, there are many activities, both spiritual and customary. A transcendentalist is supposed to give up all the material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life. Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness, one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But if one does not attain such a perfectional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. It is the enjoyed in the scriptures that one has to suffer the reaction for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to this reaction. The Bhagavatam assured the unsuccessful transcendentalist that there need to be no worries, even though he may be subjected to the reaction for not perfectly executing prescribed duties. He is still not a loser because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten, and one so engaged will continue to be so even if he is low born in the next life. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious result if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. The purport may be understood as follows. Humanity may be divided into two sections, namely the regulated and the non-regulated. Those who are engaged simply in bestial sense gratification without knowledge of their next life or spiritual salvation belongs to the non-regulated section. And those who are follow the principles of prescribed duties in the scriptures are classified amongst the regulated section. The non-regulated section, both civilized and non-civilized, educated and non-educated, strong and weak, are full of animal propensities. Their activities are never auspicious because while enjoying the animal propensities of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, they perpetually remain in the material existence, which is always miserable. On the other hand, those who are regulated by scriptural injection and who thus rise gradually to Krishna consciousness certainly progress in life. Those who are following the path of auspiciousness can be divided into three sections, namely, one of followers of scriptural rules and regulations who are enjoying material prosperity. Second, those who are trying to find ultimate liberation from material existence. And third, those who are devotees in Krishna consciousness. Those who are following the rules and regulations of the scriptures of material happiness may be further divided into two classes. Those who are fruitive workers and those who are desire no fruit for sense gratification. Those who are after fruitive results for sense gratification may be elevated to the higher standard of life, even to the higher planets, but still, because they are not free from material existence, they are not following the truly auspicious path. The only auspicious activities are those which lead one to liberation. Any activity which is not aimed at ultimate self-realization or liberation from the material bodily concept of life is not at all auspicious. Activity in Krishna consciousness is the only auspicious activity, and anyone who voluntarily accept all bodily discomfort for the sake of making progress on the path of Krishna consciousness can be called a perfect transcendentalist under severe austerity. And because the Eightfold Yoga system is directed towards the ultimate realization of Krishna consciousness, such practice is also auspicious. And no one who is trying his best is this matter need fear degradation. Hare Krishna, thank you.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So the points are very clear. That first of all, Kalyanakrit. The word Kalyanakrit means one engaged in auspicious activities. Yeah? One who is engaged in auspicious activity does not only refer to those who are practicing Astanga Yoga, okay, but also to anyone engaged in legitimate and does auspicious activities on the spiritual path. Those who are doing other devotional activities, they are all engaged in auspicious. But anyone whose activities are directed to pleasing Krishna or God are doing auspicious activities. Not necessarily you become Astanga Yogi before your activities become auspicious. In Bhakti Yogis, activities are auspicious. Even if you are a neophyte Bhakta, your activities are auspicious. So anyone engaged in auspicious activities, activities directed towards pleasing God, never meet with destruction. This is the point. Never meet with destruction. So Arjuna should not worry. Okay? Arjuna should not worry. This is what Krishna is saying. And Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana also explained that by using the word Tata, my friend, Krishna is showing Arjuna special affection, addressing him as a loving father who will address his son, or a spiritual master will address his intimate disciple. So he's trying to answer Arjuna's question. He's first patting him on the back. Arjuna, don't be disturbed. Don't be disturbed about this. You know, those who are engaged in auspicious activities never meet with destruction. So don't be afraid. Because we are asking me that somebody who has started spiritual activity might not complete. So does he lose everything? This is the question Arjuna is asking. If he's not successful in his practice of yoga, will he lose everything? So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, please, don't worry. One who is engaged in auspicious activity never meets with destruction, even if it doesn't finish. But one who is engaged in all wonderful activities, but is not connected to pleasing Krishna, he loses everything. So don't worry. Your activities in Krishna consciousness are recorded for you. They are pious credit recorded for you. You never fall. So let us see. After allaying Arjuna's fears that a fallen yogi loses everything, Krishna next described the destiny of such a transcendentalist. Krishna is going to go into explaining the destination of one who actually started the process of yoga but does not complete and gets distracted by Maya. So let's see. Verse 41. Prapya punya kritam lokam usitwa saswati sama susinam srimatam ge yoga brasto abhijayate. The unsuccessful yogi, after many years of enjoyment on the planet of the pious living entities, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Purport, important. Somebody should read the purport, please.
The unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is falling after very little progress, and one is falling after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice goes to the higher planet, where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of righteous Brahmana Vaishnava or of aristocratic merchants. The real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest perfection of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not perverse to such an extent and but those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurement are allowed by the grace of the Lord to make full utilization of their material propensities. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous or aristocratic families. Those who are born in such families may take advantage of facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna.
So you see, this is talking about, there are two types of transcendentalists who may form. The first one is one who fall after a short time of practice. Maybe few years. short time of practice, while the second one is one who fall after a long time of practice, many years of practice. So this particular verse, in the purpose, the Prabhupada is addressing the first type, those who fall after a short time. You can see they are elevated to the heavenly planets first, so that there they have opportunity to fulfill all their self-gratification propensities on a very high note. These are those who fall early. After a short time, they are promoted to the heavenly planets, where the pious people live, and they enjoy long duration of life. They enjoy proper opulence. The richest man on earth is poorer than the poorest man in heaven, in those heavens. The richest man on earth now, he can have planes, like hundreds of airplanes, personal private jets, and he has many houses in many countries. Very rich, but is poorer than the poorest man in those heavenly planets. Can you imagine? So this is the situation. So the one who practice devotional service for a short time and after that fall down is promoted to the heavenly planets to enjoy opulence, heavenly opulences for a very long time. Then he falls back. After getting exhausted, he comes down here. And here he is born into the family of rich merchants, aristocratic families, where we have facilities to do devotional service. So if the one who practice for a short time gets us opportunity, how much more the one who practice for a long time? So as we are reading, we are going to see what happens to the next one, those who practice for a long time before they fall. But before then, let me carry on.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Yeah, the short time means in bhakti yoga only, no? In devotional service.
Yes.
Not for the yoga, only just.
Yes, for Bhakti yogis, yes. Bhakti yogis who practice for a short time, yes. So unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes: those who fall after a short practice and those who fall after long practice. The yogi who falls after a short period is described first. He goes to the higher planets inhabited by pious living entities. First, he is sent to heavenly planet. This is one who practices for a short time. He first goes to the heavenly planets where pious people live. Then Srila Baladev Vidyabhushan says that after a prolonged life in which he has the opportunity to enjoy his senses, he again develops a distaste for sense gratification and returns to earth to take birth in a learned family of brahmanas, Sushinam, or of wealthy and pious merchants, Srimatam. So Srila Prabhupada writes, the real purpose of yoga practice is to achieve the highest position of Krishna consciousness, as explained in the last verse of this chapter. But those who do not persevere to such an extent and who fail because of material allurements are allowed by the grace of the Lord, underlined by the grace of the Lord, to make full utilization of their material propensities. But that means by going to heavenly planets and enjoying for a very long time and getting, distasteful, fully saturated before they fall down. And after that, they are given opportunities to live prosperous lives in righteous aristocratic families. So those who are born in such families may take advantage of the facilities and try to elevate themselves to full Krishna consciousness again. Then the destination of the more advanced yogis is explained in the next verse. So you can,
I have one question. It said that they take birth in the rich family and who are already in devotion. So the children, we are in a Krishna conscious movement, but the children, they are coming in like they take the birth in this family, and some children, they don't follow the path even if they are in Krishna consciousness. The parents are in Krishna consciousness. What about how to deal with the children? They should come in Krishna consciousness.
Yeah, the point is that among all children in such aristocratic families, those ones who practice Bhakti yoga and went to the higher planets and come back, they will continue. They will have the inclination to continue. But those who take birth in such families by other type of credits, they may not continue. You see the difference?
No,
Those
but
who take
I
those
don't
who
understand.
those who take birth in aristocracy, it's not all of them. It's not all of them that practice devotional service before that went to the heavenly planet and take birth in aristocratic family. There are other processes of accumulating piety to be able to take birth in aristocratic families. But those who are devotees before and who went to the higher planets to enjoy after enjoy coming back, those ones will develop interest in devotional service. Whereas the other ones who come through other means might not be interested. But they have the good fortune to associate with those who are interested and also begin to develop devotional service. But if their karma is such that they will not be able to associate with devotional service, the ones interested in devotional, that is a different karma that brought them to that family.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. Those who practiced before and went to enjoy and come back, they will develop interest in devotional service. But the opportunity is there for these other ones to also develop. But if somehow or the other they don't develop, that means their karma is not mature enough for them to take advantage of the presence of it. Some other karmas are involved. Okay. So let us see what happened to the one who did devotional service for a long time before falling down. This next verse we are addressing. Atava yoginam eva 42. Atava yoginam eva kuleva vatiti matam itad aidula bataram loke janma yat idrisnam. Or he takes his birth in the family of transcendentalists. Oh, is that not? Yes. Or he takes birth. Or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, such a birth is rare in this world. So let us see the purpose what the Prabhupada says. Or he takes his birth in a family of transcendentalists who are surely great in wisdom. Verily, transcendentalists. Let us read the purpose. Like the Prabhupada himself, he took birth in such family. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati himself, he took birth in the family of great transcendentalists. So their parents were great devotees. They were not just pious, aristocratic men or rich businessmen. These were great devotees family they took birth. So the opportunity to continue is greater. Understand? They took birth in great transcendentalist families. Their position is higher than that of those who took birth among rich aristocratic families and also big traders. No, they are taking birth among transcendentalists, where their fathers are great devotees of the Lord. So from the beginning, they had the opportunity. They were born into the family where they are doing the Rataya Trust, they are doing all the devotional activities very perfectly. So they take birth among devotees. So let's read the purpose. Purport to 42, please.
Purport. Birth in a family of yogis or transcendentalists those with great wisdom, is praised herein because the child born in such a family receives a spiritual impetus from the very beginning of his life. It is especially the case in Acharya or Goswami families. Such families are very learned and devoted by tradition and training, and thus they become spiritual masters. In India, there are many such Acharya families, but they have no the digni,
They are not degenerated. They are not
degenerated due
degenerated.
to insufficient education and training. By the grace of Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalist generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual masters, uh,
Om Krishna
Om
Consciousness.
Vishnupad Shri Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we meet by the order of the transcendental system. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Do you say that this is referring to Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami and himself, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada's father was a great transcendentalist. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami's father was Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, great transcendentalist. So from the very beginning of their life, all the samskaras were done, and they had the opportunity to associate with pure devotees who are their parents, their father. So for them, their fortune is far greater than the first set. The first ones, they take birth among rich families. You may take birth among rich families and you continue, you have the facility to do the devotional service. But you can easily be distracted by other association of those who are not very inclined, but are also born into rich families. But here they are born into devotees family. So from the very beginning of their life, they were doing Radhayatra. The Prabhupada was doing Radhayatra at a very early age. And the father will facilitate all these activities. Then all the neighbors will come and we do Radhayatra from the early age. But by the transcendental arrangement of the universe, by the arrangement of the transcendental system, they met. He met his spiritual master, and immediately the fire was ignited. They took initiation from Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. Then he carried out his instruction: go to the West and preach. If you ever have money, print books, you get direct instruction from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, and he carried it to heart. And the International Society for Krishna Consciousness is born to accommodate, to give opportunity to me and you to be part of it. So you can see there is a difference. Okay, there is a difference. So this is a far better and rare birth. It occurs because of the deep mental impressions or the samskaras developed by serious yoga practice. The samskaras developed by serious yoga practices. We take birth in families because of our previous association with the gunas. Each and every one of us, we took birth in different families because of our previous lives activities, aggregate of our previous life activities. Please give me a chance. So those whose previous life activities were very great, they are given opportunity to take birth in their Acharyas families. And Srila Prabhupada is one of them. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is one of them. So because of great devotional impressions or samskaras, they are able to take birth in such families. So Srila Prabhupada humbly and sweetly reveals his own situation in the purport. his own situation. By the grace of the Lord, there are still families that foster transcendentalists, generation after generation. It is certainly very fortunate to take birth in such families. Fortunately, both our spiritual masters, Om Vishnupad Sri Srimad Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and our humble self had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord. And both of us were trained in the devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. Later on, we met by the order of the transcendental system. So you can see, after practicing for a long time, you come down. Other people who take birth in such families are those who are sent directly by Krishna to come and facilitate the preaching. You see? So some great personalities, when they are sent to come and do facilitation, they have to select a family of transcendentalists, then they take birth there, and from the very beginning, you get opportunity to practice devotional service. So this is the situation of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
So verse 43. Tatratam buddhisam yogam labate purvadehikam yatate chatato bhuyaha samsidau kurunandana. On taking such a birth, he again revives the divine consciousness of his previous life and tries to make further progress in order to achieve complete success, O son of Kunti. Okay? So, in other words, spiritual advancement is never lost. Krishna previously assured Arjuna, in this endeavor there is no loss or diminution. 240. The yogi begins where he left off in his previous life. Okay? Jad Bharat is an excellent example of this principle. Srila Prabhupada explains, from his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. Okay? So, purport. King Bharata, who took his third birth in the family of a good Brahman, is an example of good birth for the revival of previous transcendental consciousness. King Bharata was the emperor of the world, and since his time, this planet is known among the demigods as Bharatavas. Formerly, it was known as Ilavritavas. The emperor, at an early age, retired for spiritual perfection, but failed to achieve success. In his next life, he took birth in the family of a good Brahman and was known as Jada Bharata because he always remained secluded and did not talk to anyone. And later on, he was discovered as a good transcendentalist by King Lauga. From his life, it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, the transcendentalist gets repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. So the life of Jad Bharat is given, or Bharat Maharaj is given. He was a great transcendentalist. If he couldn't complete, he took birth in his next life, as Jada Bharata, because he couldn't complete, was distracted somehow, because he said he was very elevated, even up to the stage of Baba, before he fell off. But he had to take the body of a deer, and from there he learned some more lessons. So in his next life, he became a Jat Bharat, remaining as if he's dumb. He doesn't, talk, so that they will not give him responsibilities. They think that he's a fool. Then he took the opportunity to leave home early to go and practice and perfect his life and went back home. But along the line, he was discovered by King Rahugana, who he was carrying his palanquin and was avoiding stepping on ants. And he was shaking the palanquin. King Rahugana challenged him, "Who are you? Why do you want to fall the king? Do you know the implication of this? You want to make the king fall on the ground or what? Why are you shaking the palanquin? Who are you?" He came down to chastise him. Then after talking, then Jad Bharat decided to instruct him, to reveal to him that this living entities, I'm avoiding ants, stepping on them because they are living entities. You are thinking you are a king now. In your next life, you don't know what you are going to be. Then he started giving him transcendental knowledge. Then the king came to realize that, yes, this is a great Mahabhagavan. And after that lifetime, Jad Bharat went back to Bhat. So this is an example of one who takes birth in such great families due to long practice of devotional service in his previous life. So Krishna explains this further in the next verse, verse 44. Pura Puvabhyasena Tantenaiva Riyatehi Evasu Apisa Jigyasu Apiyogasya Sabda Brahmativartate. By virtue of the divine consciousness of his previous life, he automatically becomes attracted to the yogic principles, even without seeking them. Such an inquisitive transcendentalist striving for yoga stands always above the ritualistic principles of the scripture. So, purport, please. Further explanation.
Purport. Advanced yogis are not very much attracted to the ritual of the scriptures, but they automatically become attracted to the yoga principle, which can elevate them to complete Krishna consciousness, the highest yoga perfection. In the Srimad Bhagavatam 3.33.7, such a disregard of Vedic rituals by the advanced transcendentalists is explained as follows. O my Lord, person who chant the holy name of your Lordship are far advanced in spiritual life. Even if born in families of dog eater, such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of authorities and sacrifices, bath in all sacred places, and finished all scriptural studies. The famous example of this was presented by Lord Chaitanya, who accepted Thakur Haridas as one of his most important disciples. Although Thakur Haridas happened to take his birth in a Muslim family, he was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principles of chanting 300,000 holy names of the Lord daily. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. And because of it, chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic method of the Vedas, known as Shabda Brahma, Unless, therefore, one is purified, one cannot take to the principle of Krishna consciousness or become engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So you can see that in his previous practice, automatically attracting, and he remains attracted despite the previous obstacles he faced. Yes, he's been transcendentalist to, or he's been transcendental to Sabda Brahma, or above the ritualistic principle of the scriptures, refers to his being above the Kamakanda rituals leading to material enjoyment. He's attracted to spiritual, not material life. Okay, so that is it. Further explanation that before one becomes attracted to devotional service in this life, he must have performed all kinds of pious activities, must have performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices, must have bathed in all kinds of holy places in previous life before he becomes favorably attracted to the principle of devotional service above Kamakanda. So the person is not interested in the ritualistic ceremonies in the Kamakanda section of the Vedas. His attraction is to pure Bhakti. That means the person has performed so many rituals in previous life. They have passed through all those stages. And that is the verse quoted from the Srimad Bhagavatam. No? 3:33:8. Aho bataswa pachuato gariyam yajiva gre bhatate namatubhyam tepus tapaste juvuchas no area brahmana uchu namadinantiyete. Oh my Lord, persons who chant the holy names of your Lordship are far, far advanced in spiritual life. Even if born in the family of dog eaters, such chanters have undoubtedly performed all kinds of austerities and sacrifices. They have bathed in all sacred places and finished all scriptural studies. They have studied the Veda, they have studied scriptures, they have bathed in holy places, and they have performed all kinds of Vedic sacrifices before he becomes favorably attracted to devotional service or chanting the holy names in this life. So this is Queen Kunti. Queen Kunti is saying this. Aho bataswa pachuato gariyam yajiva grevatati namatubhyam te pusta paste ju vichas nuaria brahmana uchu namagrinantiyete. He has performed all kinds of sacrifices. So even if he's born in the family of dog eaters, he's worshipable because he has arrived at the presence of devotional service. So let us not look at devotees with the eye of the present lifetime, where he is born. Generally, if you go by the Vedic culture, all those born outside of India, they are considered outcasts, according to the Vedic culture. All those born outside of India, they are considered outcasts. And even among those who are born in India, the Brahmanas are discriminated. There are demarcations: Brahmanas, Kshatriya, Vaishyas, Shudra, and Chandalas. You see? So all those born outside of India are technically, by the standard of the Vedic culture, considered Chandalas. No? So here this verse is saying that even if born in the family of dog eaters, those who have become attracted to constantly chanting the holy names are worshipable because in their previous life they must have performed all kinds of Vedic sacrifices. They have bathed in all places of pilgrimage. That whatever is happening now is a continuation of what has happened in the past. That we are not these bodies, we are spirit soul. The spirit soul change bodies. It is change of body. A spirit soul in India in this lifetime can take a body in Africa. He can take a body in Europe. He can take another body in the next life in America. So we are talking about the soul, not the body. The body is just a garment. So we should go beyond these bodily garments, external designations as being this, being that. We are all external souls. So any soul who has developed attraction for constant chanting of the holy name, it should be understood that he has passed through all kinds of austerities in his previous life. He had bathed in all kinds of holy places in his previous life. Huh? And he has done all kinds of charities. And he has studied, must have studied the Vedas and have developed all the qualities of the Aryan. So there are two verses in the Bhagavad, this particular one and the one before that. Yanamadeya Shravananu Ketana Ya Pranava Ya Smarana Pikwashit Swado Apisadia Savanaya Kapate Kutas Punaste Bhagamanu Darshana. There are two verses chanted by Queen Kunti to glorify those who have become attracted to the Buddha. So all glories to all those devotees. Don't underrate any devotee. Anyone who see that is favorably disposed to becoming a devotee, chanting the holy name, don't look at his body. You should see beyond the body, see beyond this lifetime. He has chanted the holy names for many, many lifetimes and performed all Vedic sacrifices and have waited for holy places before he has attained this natural inclination for chanting the holy name of the Lord. How much more those born in the family of the devotees? So this is the purpose. We have to see the soul evolving and taking different bodily garments. We are not these bodies, we are spirit souls. Verse 45, okay. And finally, the next verse explains how and when the yogi will achieve his ultimate goal. How and when. Verse 45. Pratyanat yatamanastu yogisam sudakir bisaha aneka janma samsidas tatoyati paramgatim. Translation. But when the yogi engages himself with sincere endeavor in making further progress, being washed at all contaminations, being washed of all contaminations, then ultimately, after many, many births of practice, he attains the supreme goal. Purport.
Hare Krishna.
Purport.
Yes. A person born in the particular right house, aristocratic or scared family, become conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. With determination, therefore, he brings his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleans himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. Krishna consciousness is the perfect stage of being free of all contaminations. This is the confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 7.28. After many births of executing pious activities, when one is completely free from all contaminations and from all illusory duties, one become engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, so that is it. That to become successful, a yoga brasta or a yogi who has fallen from his practice must work harder than yogis who have practiced longer. Why? Because rigid practice of prayatmas is more difficult to achieve from the Susinam birth or birth in a pious righteous family, or a Srimatan birth in the rich mercantile or royal family, than from a birth in the Yoginam family of transcendentalists. Children born in the family of transcendentalists may receive repeated deep, they receive especially deep Krishna conscious impressions and training earlier in their spiritual life. In other words, those who are born, who take devotional service for a short time and fall, who now take birth among rich aristocratic families, they must practice more rigidly. They should take to the sadhana bhakti more rigidly. They should follow rules and regulations more rigidly. Associate with devotees more rigidly. They should take it more seriously, because those who are born after a long time, they have more opportunities. Their situation is better because they are born into families of transcendentalists who are deeply practicing, like the Srila Prabhupada's family and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati family. His father was Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Thakur. To take birth in such family, that means you have practiced for a very long time in previous life before you can take birth. So everything is easier for you. Everything is easier for Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. But those others who are born into rich aristocratic family, that means they felt that after a short time of practice, they should take to the process more rigidly. They should chant, they should do Mariada Bhakti seriously. Rules and regulations rigidly. They follow strictly. Then they can also gradually, more serious practice is recommended for those who fall after some, who are not born into the family of transcendentalists. Like all of us, we were not born into the families of transcendentalists. But somehow or the other, the previous life impressions have located us and have connected us to this place. That means we have to take to the sadhana practice very, very serious. We should chant our rounds, follow the regulative principles, seek devotees association, and do devotional practices more rigidly in order to remain secure in Krishna consciousness. You see, but for Srila Prabhupada and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, automatically the first water they drink is devotional water.
હરે કૃષ્ણ શું કરવાનું? તમારો અવાજ નથી આવતો.
હેલો.
હા શું કરે? બંધ કરે કે ઉભા રહીએ?
અરે હું એને ફોન કરું છું પણ ફોન નહીં લાગતો.
લાગતો જ નથી.
નહીં લાગતો. મેસેજ કર્યો પણ એનો ફોન બંધ આવે છે. હવે જોઈએ. એનો નેટવર્ક બંધ થઈ
સ્વિચ
ગયું.
ઓફ થઈ ગયો કે?
હા.
The number you are calling is currently switched off. Please try later. The empty
એમ પણ નીકળવું છે મંદિરે જવા.
કઈ નહીં બંધ કરી દઈએ. બીજું તો શું થાય? ફોન એનો સ્વિચ ઓફ આવે છે અને મેસેજ પણ રિસીવ નહીં થયો.
પ્રભુજીને પૂછો તો. હરે કૃષ્ણ પ્રભુજી.
હરે
what can
કૃષ્ણ
we do?
પ્રભુજી.
Your phone is mute.
Bhakta Prince Prabhuji. Yes. What we can do, because I tried to call to the Chaitanya Prabhu's but phone was switch off. Can we off or we can wait to connect?
વાળ ધોયા? આના ધોયા?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu.
Yes.
My data finished, so I'm trying to load.
Okay, so we can, yeah, so we can wait.
Yes, thank
Okay, okay, thank you.
અચ્છા વેટ કરવા કે છે.
હા, હા.
ઓકે.
ડાટા ફિનિશ થઈ ગયા છે એટલે પેલું.
એને કયો નહીં તો એને કાંઈ ખબર નહીં પડશે પ્રભુજી.
Prabhu, please wait. They are uploading the data, so you will come back soon.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandavat Pranam.
Pronounce, please forgive me.
Prabhuji.
Forgive me. My daughter got finished. And I had to fight. Yes, we are destined to finish this chapter. And never compromise. Fighting for it. Don't give up. Go around. Okay. We will go to 46, then 47, we conclude. It's already concluded. The whole thing is there. That for us, those of us who are born out of the Vedic culture and who are not born into the family of pure devotees, we need to practice our regulative principle very more rigidly, to practice our sadhana very rigidly, because those who are born there, they have more opportunities. So this is the purpose. We need to be more rigid, very strict in our practices, so that we can eventually get more purification and arrive purely. It's more difficult for those who are born outside of Transcendentalist family than those who are born into such families. So verse 46. Tapaswibhyo ediko yogi jnanibhyo pimato dika karmidhyas chadiko yogi lasmad yogi baba Arjuna. A yogi is greater than the ascetic, greater than the empiricist, and greater than the fruitive worker. Therefore, O Arjuna, in all circumstances, be a yogi. Purport.
When we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Such a process is named definitely by the various practitioner in the term of the particular method adopted. When the linking process is predominantly in the fruitive actives, it is called karma yoga. When it is predominantly empirically, it is called jnana yoga, and when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga or Krishna Consciousness is the ultimately perfection of the all yoga, as well be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga is a full spiritual knowledge, and therefore nothing can excel it. Ascension without self-knowledge is the imperfect empirism and fruitive work. Without Krishna consciousness is worst of the time. Therefore, most highly prized from of yoga. Performance mentioned here is the Bhakti Yoga, and this is still more clearly explained in the next verse. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Okay, yes. The tapaswi was mentioned in Bhagavad Gita 428. Although he performs austerities, he has not yet acquired knowledge. The Jnani has knowledge, and he knows Sastri, but his realization ends in Brahma. Kamis and even Kama yogis tend towards fruitful activities. Therefore, they act piously by digging wells, constructing roads, and offering charity. The yogi, however, knows the super soul is most advanced. Thus, this verse reveals the progressive rungs on the yoga ladder by clearly glorifying yogis above kamis, jnanis, and tapasvis. Krishna now gives the final statement about the yogi, the highest caliber, yogi of the highest caliber. Okay, so finally, Krishna is going to conclude on this verse. First, he has established that Bhakti yogi is above all other yogis. Of all the yogis, the Bhakti yogi is the highest. But in this next verse, he's going to firmly stamp it with the last nail. 47. Yoginam apisarvesam mangatena atmana Shradavan bhajati yumam same yutatamo madava. And of all yogis, he who always abides in me with great faith, worshipping me in transcendental loving service, is most intimately united with me in yoga and is the best of all. So last purport is very long. It's very long purport. Can you read?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay. Carry on.
Purport. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the verb bhaja, which is used when there is need of service. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaja. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous, but one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. Every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And thus, every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. Failing to do this, he falls down. The Bhagavatam 11.5.3 confirms this as follows. Anyone who does not render service and neglected his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his conditional position. In this verse also the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to the demigod or to any other common living entity. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mama mudhaha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. The culmination of all kinds of yoga practice lies in Bhakti Yoga. All those yogas are but means to come means to come to the point of bhakti, bhakti yoga. Yoga actually means bhakti yoga. All other yogas are progression towards the destination of bhakti yoga. From the beginning of karma yoga to the end of bhakti yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma yoga without creative result. It is the beginning of this path. When karma yoga increases in knowledge and renunciation, the stage is called jnana yoga. When jnana yoga increases in the meditation on the super soul by different physical process and the mind is on him, it is called a Ashtanga yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of God, Godhead Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga. The culmination. Actually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. The yogi who is progressive in is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks strict to the particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name karma yogi, jnana yogi or dhyan yogi, raja yogi, hatha yogi, etc. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of bhakti yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpasses all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountain, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. It is by great fortune that one comes to Krishna consciousness on the path of Bhakti Yoga to become well situated according to the Vedic direction. The ideal yogi concentrates his attention to Krishna, who is called Sham Sundar, who is beautifully colored as a cloud, whose lotus-like face is effulgent as the sun, whose dress is brilliant with jewels. No, is brilliant with jewels, and whose body is flower garland. Illuminating all sides is his gorgeous luster, which is called the Brahmajyoti. He incarnated his different forms such as Ram, Narasimha, Vara, and Krishna. The Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he descended like Hanuman, being as the son of Mother, descended like Hanuman, as the son of Mother Yashoda, and he is known as Krishna, Govinda, Vasudeva. He is the perfect child, husband, friend, and master, and he is full with all opulence and transcendental qualities. If one remains full conscious of these features of the Lord, he is called the highest yogi. In this stage of highest perfection in yoga can be attained only by Bhakti Yoga, as it confirmed in all Vedic literature. Only unto those great souls who have implicit faith in both the Lord and the spiritual master are all the imports of Vedic knowledge automatically revealed. Bhakti Asya Bhajanam Hare Krishna. Service to the Lord, which is free from desire from material profit, either in this life or in the next. Devoid of such inclination, one should fully absorb the mind in the Supreme. That is the purpose of Nishkam Gopala Tapani Upanishad 1.15. These are some of the means of performance of bhakti or Krishna consciousness, the highest perfection stage of yoga system. Thus, the end of Bhakti Vedanta purport to the 6th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavad Gita in the matter of Dhyana Yoga. Hare Krishna.
The matter of Sankhya Yoga. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So, first of all, you are host. Give
Who
me a
is it?
host. I think it's you.
1 minute, let me see. 1 minute, Prabhuji. I also don't know what to do. 1 minute, let me see.
So before then, we thank you all very much. You've done it. In the last verse,
I'm doing it.
conclude everything that of all yoga, the other yoga systems are useless unless there is a flavor of bhakti, and they're all leading somebody gradually to bhakti. Bhakti is the highest point in the yoga land. That's all. So of all yogis, he who is the bhakta is the greatest of all yogis. One who understands Krishna, who serves Krishna as the Supreme Personality of God in devotional service, is the highest of all yogis. So that is the purport of the verse, the last verse. Okay, I am now host. We are through, but let me just, finish that. We are through with the chapter. And okay. Yes, a little summary of this last session. That Arjun's last inquiry was this: what happens if the aspiring transcendentalist fails? Then he apparently loses both ways. In other words, he can enjoy neither material happiness nor spiritual happiness. He has no position. It's like a riven cloud. A cloud in the sky sometimes deviates from a small cloud and joins a big one. But if it cannot join a big one, then it is blown away by the wind and becomes a non-entity in that vast ocean. So one who is not successful in yoga, does it become like such a cloud? And this is the answer given them, that the transcendentalist is supposed to give up all material activities for the sake of spiritual advancement in life or Krishna consciousness. One may argue that by Krishna consciousness, one may attain the highest perfection if it is completed. But if one does not attain such a professional stage, then he loses both materially and spiritually. It is enjoined in the scripture that one has to suffer the reaction of for not executing prescribed duties. Therefore, one who fails to discharge transcendental activities properly becomes subjected to these reactions. The Bhagavatam assures the unsuccessful yogi or unsuccessful transcendentalist that there need be no worries. Even though he may be subjected to the reaction for not perfectly executing prescribed duties, he is still not a loser, because auspicious Krishna consciousness is never forgotten. Krishna always rewards you for any little service you do. And one who is so engaged, will continue to be so, even if he is low-born in the next life. On the other hand, one who simply follows strictly the prescribed duties need not necessarily attain auspicious results if he is lacking in Krishna consciousness. There are two classes of yogis. These unsuccessful yogis are divided into two classes. One is falling after a very little progress, and one is falling after long practice of yoga. The yogi who falls after a short period of practice go to the higher planets where pious living entities are allowed to enter. After prolonged life there, one is sent back again to this planet to take birth in the family of righteous brahmanas, Vaishnavas, or aristocratic merchants. There, then families that foster transcendentalists. Fortunately, both our spiritual master, Om Vishnu Pas Sriman Bhakti Saraswati Goswami Maharaj, and my humble self, our humble self, had the opportunity to take birth in such families by the grace of the Lord, and both of us were trained in devotional service of the Lord from the very beginning of our lives. This is the second type, the one who fall after a long period of practice. So they take birth among transcendentalist families. Then the example was given that you begin from where you left off, and from the life of Jad Bharat, that from his life it is understood that transcendental endeavors or the practice of yoga never go in vain. By the grace of the Lord, transcendentalists get repeated opportunities for complete perfection in Krishna consciousness. They are given chance again and again. We continue from where you stop. This is Jad Bharat. This is Jad Bharat. You know. And finally, after 3 births, he went back. Then begin from wherever we left off. That Thakura Aridas happened to take his birth in the Muslim family. He was elevated to the post of Namacharya by Lord Chaitanya due to his rigidly attended principle of chanting 300,000 holy name of the Lord daily. And because he chanted the holy name of the Lord constantly, it is understood that in his previous life, he must have passed through all the ritualistic methods of the Vedas known as Sabda Brahma. Now, in verse 45, a person born in a particular righteous aristocratic or sacred family becomes conscious of his favorable condition for executing yoga practice. Without determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task. With determination, therefore, he begins his unfinished task, and thus he completely cleanses himself of all material contaminations. When he is finally free from all contaminations, he attains the supreme perfection, Krishna consciousness. So, finally, Jnana Yoga, the topmost yoga system. When we speak, verse 46, when we speak of yoga, we refer to linking our consciousness with the supreme absolute truth. Such a process is named differently by various practitioners in terms of the particular method adopted. And when the linking process is predominantly in fruitive activities, it is called Kama Yoga. When it is predominantly empirical, it is called Jnana Yoga. And when it is predominantly in a devotional relationship with the Supreme Lord, it is called Bhakti Yoga. Bhakti Yoga or Krishna Consciousness is the ultimate perfection of all yogas, as will be explained in the next verse. The Lord has confirmed herein the superiority of yoga, but he has not mentioned that it is better than Bhakti Yoga. Okay. Now, 47. This is the Himalaya mountain, Mount Everest. Mount Everest, the culmination. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that they have surpassed all other yogas. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga. Just as when we speak of the Himalayas, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the combination or culmination. The highest peak, look at the highest peak. This is the highest peak. This is Mount Everest. This is Everest. Among all these Himalayas, this is the Himalayas you see. You see the Himalayas, this is how the Himalayas, but of all the Himalayas, the highest peak is Everest, Mount Everest. So Krishna consciousness is the highest of all the yogas. All these other peaks you are seeing, all these are like Kama Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Astanga Yoga, but this is Bhakti Yoga. So the culmination. So thank you very much. And Krishna bless you as we wait patiently for the exams. Now, this is the end of Unit 1. We are going to conduct the exams by next week, Sunday. We are going to conduct our exams by next week, Sunday. Next week, Sunday will be exams. And we start.
Timing, the same 10 o'clock.
Yes, the same 10 o'clock. The same 10 o'clock, it will be exams. Okay?
Okay, Prabhuji,
So,
thank
Prabhu,
you.
the Saturday it will be class.
Ready?
Saturday, there will be no class.
Okay.
Thank you very much for asking. There will be no class on Saturday. Or do you want us to do the exams on Saturday instead of Sunday?
And then Sunday will be holiday.
Sunday will be holiday then.
No problems. We
Okay,
don't have-
Prabhuji, but no, everybody doesn't know.
We inform them.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's exam be Saturday, then Sunday will be free.
No, Prabhu, Sunday is okay.
Eh?
Sunday is okay.
Okay, so what do? We do it on Sunday?
Sunday is okay, Prabhuji.
Okay. Okay then. Let's maintain our Sunday. Let's maintain the
Okay.
Sunday for exams.
Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. What are the timing? Do we do it at 7:30? Or we do it?
In the morning, it will be good for us. In the
We have
Sunday.
already said 10 o'clock. That time is okay so that we can read more.
Okay.
Read
Okay, no
more.
problem. No problem. Okay, 10 o'clock on Sunday is exams. Between now and then, please read. Your essays you can read, you can write after the exams.
Yes.
After the exam, the next week is there for you to write your essays. So
Okay.
forget about the essay now. Just
Okay, thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. We are very grateful to all of you, especially Madhusneha Prabhu and Sabamayi Gopi, Bhakta Prince. We are very grateful to you. You have been so consistent in your attendance, and I will consider that very seriously when marking your exams.
Okay.
All glory to
Even if wrong answer was correct.
all glory to Swapanacharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki. Yes. See you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, the next unit we introduce the teacher. We are beginning the unit. Yes. Hare Krishna.
Okay, Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Swapanacharya Prabhupada ki.
Jai.
Yes. All glory to all of you.